Given what we've seen in the latest economic numbers, I think something is becoming painfully clear. I believe home buyers are giving up. Yes, I said it. Home buyers are giving up. But what are they giving up on? I think they are giving up on waiting. I think the average home buyer is starting to realize that rates are going to be what rates are. We're not seeing a rush to 6 or 5 or 4 or 3. It is higher for longer. It is get comfortable with near 7. And I think this is happening. You can look at the weekly numbers. You can see all of our conversations with our millionaires. Activity appears to be picking up even in December, even with rates at 7. Let's have a conversation with the boys from Convoy and see if I am all wet. What is going on, guys?
Not too much. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. What are you guys seeing in your business?
Yeah, so we have definitely seen a little bit of an uptick in, end of November, first week of December, and I think on our video 2 weeks ago we brought up our numbers that we were actually seeing an increase in volume for mortgage applications just for Convoy, right? Um, from October 11th to I think we did it to like November 30th. We saw more applications during that period when rates were up a full percent than from beginning of September to October 11th when rates were down a percent. And I think a lot of it, like you just touched on at the beginning, comes with the fact that now consumers are aware and it's finally hit them that rates are here and they're staying. Because if you look at the rates where they were at the beginning of the year and where they are now, they're pretty much identical, right? Now, what's changed? Nothing on the rate wise, but it's the consumer sentiment that they're finally believing, okay, we are going to be here for a while. This is where rates are at. I'm going to have to transact. I'm going to have to run my numbers at these levels because waiting, like I told my loan officer 6 months ago that I want to wait until rates drop. Well, that hasn't done anything for me. That's only kind of hurt me in most situations. And that's the biggest reason I think we've seen an uptick.
Yeah, I think there's a lot in that. And one of the things that I was suspect, I wasn't sure was going to happen is I was hearing about crickets and tumbleweeds the last 3 or 4 weeks pre-election, and nearly everybody was saying, I'll wait to post-election. Obviously, we're now, basically a month post-election. The results are known, and we're seeing people come off the sidelines. So what I am now asking myself, because when you get this week, the mortgage numbers I got on Wednesday, highest all year. Are you freaking kidding me? What are we talking about here? Why are they up 6% week on week after last week was up 12% week on week? It is perhaps that people waited post-election and now they're just moving. So it'll be interesting if this is just a, call it 4-week, call it 6-week blip from demand delayed, not destroyed. And then we'll see if it carries into next year. It's going to be really interesting. But I really do think home buyers are giving up. They're giving up on waiting. Jonathan, what say you?
Yeah, and it's funny because I've had this conversation this past week with so many people, and past 3 weeks, I think Dustin and I have had this conversation with clients being like, "Well, I'm gonna wait," but then they realize rates aren't coming down week after week, and then they call back 3-4 weeks later and say, "I should have just done it a month and a half ago." When I could have just locked it in at 5.25, 5.5 with buying down. Like, I should just listen to you because now the rates are higher and I can't do anything. So I think that people, like you said, are realizing that rates can't dictate the move of everybody, right? They can't dictate your life in terms of how you invest and whatnot, because it's always the cost of capital. And, I want to remind especially the listeners that we are still lower than where we were last year, October.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about, we hit maybe July-ish highs this year, but we're still lower than October points. So it's actually still a great time. If anything, it's the best time before it turns into a seller's or a seller's market. Yeah. It's still a great time to make the offers, buy the deals, and also, potentially maybe even pull some cash out, which we've been doing a lot of, and reinvest that money.
Yeah, it's really funny. I called a buyer's market early and was right. So I'll take a victory lap on that. It's still going on. Again, it's not unusual for the end of the year to be kind of a buyer's market because we have motivated sellers. I think this one is even more of that because we're not seeing the new listings explode. So, we got days on market going up. We've got motivated sellers who need to sell versus want to sell. Nobody's going to list their property over the holidays if they want to sell. They're just wait till January 15th or whatever. But again, I love the fact that we're singing the same song. This is the time to write disrespectful offers. Folks, you've just got to write offers that make sense with today's cost of capital. And I'm happy to say that One Rental at a Time fans are getting the message. They took advantage of the Thanksgiving weekend, which is the best year or best week to write offers. So I'm curious what you guys are seeing as far as, home buyers and investors just writing offers and getting going, Dustin.
Yeah, no, like I said, in the past month we've seen an uptick in applications. We've seen just in this past week in the month of December a higher than expected amount of applications coming in. And I know John and I, and when we had our sales meeting on Monday, we do it every Monday. We put out just some numbers on the amount of pre-approvals that we have outstanding, but how many of those pre-approvals have been adjusted because clients are making additional offers, whether it's on the same property or a different property. Of the amount of pre-approvals that we had outstanding, I think it was only 72% of them were multiple pre-approvals that we were writing for the same borrower. So that tells you of all of the, pre-approvals that Convoy has written, whether it's been in the last week, month, 3 months, because those can last for a while on the DSCR side, 72% of them we've adjusted at least one time. So that could be increasing the offer, decreasing the offer, etc. Meaning there's a lot of people doing the work right now, trying to get a deal on the buyer side to get this done before the end of the year.
Yeah, again, folks, I don't know. Consumers are consumers, and I've studied them for 30 years. And one of the things that I hope is different with folks that watch this channel versus just the average consumer is we know when to strike. We want to strike when there's less competition. And the winter is less competition. So I'm so happy to hear that people watch this channel are trying to take advantage of this. Jonathan, why don't you just talk about rates a little bit? We're not seeing the big up or down like we got kind of used to earlier in the year. It's been a lot more stable. Is that right?
Yeah, and this is good for the market, right? At the end of the day, and it's good for consumers as well. I think it's kind of contradictory to say that, but we're back in the place where DSCR with 20% down with a little bit of a prepay gets you, into the high sixes, on a 30-year fix. That's a great place to be. And then if you want to buy it down, you can buy it down into low sixes. Potentially, if you really want to get aggressive, you could touch high fives, right? So it's a situation where I think the market is stable and is good. Now you have the options to go. If you want to go conventional, you can go conventional. If you want to go DSCR, you can go DSCR. There's a lot of different options to make the deal work now, whether you're using income or not. So rates are all, I think, I want to say high 6, low 7 type scenarios, regardless of purchase or cash out. And, if your individual scenarios are the margin of conventional and DSCR non-QM is staying thin. So while it's as thin as it is, this is the time to strike before, Wall Street makes a move again, and non-QM moves. Or Fannie Freddie move.
Yeah. So Dustin, I'm curious. When I did a video earlier in the week talking about 2025 being kind of the last hard year. I've actually called for transactions on the existing home sales to be sub 4 million, which would be a cycle low. I'm not sure that's a great call given the activity you guys are seeing picking up, but I'm curious when you guys look at activity, and again, you don't make forecasts or predictions. That's my thing. But when you heard me make that call, did you think, I don't think he's right this time?
No, I wouldn't say I didn't think you were right, and I wouldn't say that you were wrong either, because a lot of it comes from the fact that, look, I'm still telling clients, if you like it, now lock it, because just in this immediate future right now, if we want to talk about our projections that I think we would be best to project on, which would be where rates are headed.
Sure.
We've got job reports tomorrow. We've got inflation next week.
Yeah.
We've got the Fed meeting 2 weeks from now on the 18th. And I still think the odds are saying at 60, 65, 70% of a Fed rate cut in December. But then I don't think we have a rate cut in 2025. And that's not a bad thing.
I made that call a month ago. I said, folks, we're going to get the December cut and then nothing in 2025. I was crucified in my comments. People thought I was a moron. More and more people are saying it. I feel so good about that early call. Sorry, I just had to share.
No, And I think a lot. I've seen the word in the news or the phrase like the Trump pump is going to be a reason for that. Just because, look, if the I would say the biggest factor on the Fed's cutting rates right now, and then that actually translating to mortgage rates dropping, because we've seen it be completely, the opposite. Fed's cut rates, mortgage rates go up. But if we want them to actually follow each other, it's going to come with jobs first.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll have this little Trump pump, and we'll see, at least for the first 6 months of 2025, I'm pretty sold on the fact that there's no
No
Fed
cuts.
rate cuts.
No cuts.
Second half, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 months. But if you told me now in December of 2024, I'll take the gamble and say that we don't have a Fed rate cut in all of 2025.
That's all. I'm so glad to hear it. I'm actually reading more articles. There was a Deutsche Bank chief economist that said it, just recently, I think 2 days ago. And I'm like, man, I feel really good when I make bold early calls and others come around to it. So it's fun to see. I'm curious, Jonathan, when you look at your book of business, what's kind of the rough split investors versus home buyers? Again, I think what I'm seeing is investors are really picking up writing those disrespectful offers. But I'm also seeing home buyers truly give up. They're like, I took a gamble. I lost. Rates didn't go down. It's time to move. What have you seen? Maybe you could talk about the change in the business in December versus maybe the summer.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing investors, like you said, pick up. I think it's probably more like 75-25, 75 investors, 25 primary. I mean, our focus obviously is a lot of investors.
Sure.
So that's picked up heavily. But we are picking up a lot more primary purchases as well here and there. And a lot of the people that are offering 20%, 25%, maybe not FHA, low down payment type situations, they are really picking up because their buy box gets bigger, because if they can put 20% down on this property,
Sure.
they have a little stretch up. So that's kind of what we've been seeing across the board. And versus the, last year in the summer, I feel like it's almost hotter now.
Yeah. Me too. I agree with you. I was unsure if you're going to say that, but I'm hearing from more and more people, December is hotter than July. That's not normal. That's weird.
And I think a lot of it, July was kind of, I think, one of the higher rate months as well. I think so. It was, but now people are coming to the realization of the, like, hey, it's not as
July
bad.
was kind of the quick run up, and we've just
Exactly.
plateaued. Yeah.
Yep. So because of that, I think people are that's why December is hotter, and a lot of people are living in the uncertainty world of they were very, very certain that rates were going to drop. And as time gets closer, they're not certain anymore. So we're seeing all the transactions, I think, both on the primary side and the investor side, pick up. And that's why I think right now we're probably 75-25.
Yeah. Well, let's close out with the conversation of cash out refi. A lot of folks are in this game and they want to take their capital back. Maybe it was a burr. Maybe they're looking to extract equity from prices that are up 50% from 2020 purchases because they want to reuse that capital, redeploy that capital. What are you guys seeing in the kind of rate in term refi versus cash out refi? I'm going to guess a lot more cash out, but maybe not.
Yeah, we what was it? 3 weeks ago, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we like doing them every quarter. Now I think with you just about convoys numbers and the refi percentage of cash out versus rate and term. Cash out right now across the board is pretty much identical to the rates you're going to get on a rate and term, with a little bit of a price adjustment of sometimes maybe 0.125 on the rate or 0.25 in cost. So 0.25 in cost for the listener. Maybe you're getting a 7% with no buy down if you're doing a rate in term, or you're getting a 7% with cash out with a 0.25 buy down. So they're pretty darn equal.
Yeah.
This is on the DSCR side.
Sure.
On the conventional side, you're going to see a much bigger difference in the amount of, cash out rate change versus no cash out rate change. So on the conventional FHA, VA conforming side, you're seeing closer to a 1/4 point difference on the rate and like a 1/2 point difference on the cost or the buy down.
Yeah. So to translate that for my audience, what I think you're telling me is if you're in a position to do a refi with a DSCR loan and you have the equity and the property will not turn into an alligator, because we don't do that here. It really doesn't, it really paints the picture of why don't you take the cash out, right? If you've got 40, 50, $100,000 sitting there, the asset still performs post extraction. If there's no cost, you're taking the money, right?
Yeah,
Jonathan?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I think there's always the seconds as well, right?
Oh,
So
that's true. Yeah, seconds. I
so
forgot.
we've been seeing we've been writing a lot of DSCR seconds, bank statement seconds, like that kind of thing, to allow for people to tap into equity. So that's been good. But again, reach out to us. We'll do the blended rate average kind of calculation, talk to you about that, whether it's worth doing, a second or a first, or maybe none of the above, or maybe we can't help. Like we'll
Yeah.
tell you what the viability is. But I think that if you go and do the math on it right now, average wise, if you bought in the last 2 years and you built up equity, or 3 years, you might have a good chance where you might get a rate low enough where the average is better on the
Yeah.
blended rate average than just getting a second. But we can do both. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love the fact that you guys are willing to spend the time with the audience, right? You guys, if you go to convoyhomeloans.com, there's a little drop down. Just pick ORAT, and one of these two guys is going to take care of you. All right, they do that for this community. They'll do the blended rate calculation. They'll educate you on what the options are. I think there's a lot of equity out there. I mean, I've seen some equity numbers that are in the trillions, right? Of people sitting with equity, and if it's sitting there and you want to deploy it, at least have the conversation. If it doesn't make sense, they'll tell you. Dustin, any closing thoughts?
I was waiting for you to say go to our website at convoyhomeloans.com and click ORAT. So my brain was kind of floating into the seconds. But no, I think this was a great market update, and I'll leave the closing argument on this is that if you like it, lock it. I think there's still more risk there's still a lot more risk than there is reward if you're going to play the floating game in this environment.
Jonathan, your closing thoughts?
Same thing with Dustin. Lock it if you in over the next 30 days. I mean, risk wise, is there a crazy amount of risk that we think rates are going to shoot back up higher? Probably not, but it doesn't hurt to just take it off the table. It's if you lose like an eighth, worst case scenario, or a quarter, like it's not the end of the world. Just make sure your deal works. Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure it works today. Cost of capital, 30-year money. Convoyhomeloans.com. Click ORAT. If you do that, you get one of these two fine gentlemen. And if not, you get in this long queue where the plebes are. We don't do that at this channel. Go to convoyhomeloans.com. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.